Hola, hola. This is your boy Tico Trent, and I'm going to talk about my thoughts on women and feminism, feminist women throwing a fit about stupid shit that don't really pan out right or go their way. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. My thoughts on that is the problem that I have with it is y'all don't fully think things through when y'all actually want to talk about something or implement something or make something a thing. Y'all don't fully think it through. But then when you actually do it, you want to blame us because everybody's not following it or everybody's not going along with it because it's flawed, literally. It's flawed. That's why nobody wants to go with it. But you have a problem with people telling you it's flawed and you want us to enforce it on everyone, which is a fucking stupid idea. If you actually think about it, it's the dumbest idea in the world to just enforce it on people because that's the overall problem that I have with it. Is you come up with an idea, you don't fully think the idea through, but you want to implement the idea because you're a woman and you just want to implement it. And when the shit doesn't pan out in your favor, instead of tweaking it, adjusting it, and or fixing it to actually make it work, you want to criticize us or blame us or want to use us to enforce your idea, which really makes no fucking sense, on other people. I've never been one to enforce an idea that I didn't wholeheartedly believe was a great idea. I've never actually, any percentage, actually supported an idea that I didn't believe was a great idea. In the least bit. So, I'm not willing to back an idea that's unfinished or needs more tweaking to it, if you know what I mean. That's the overall problem that I have with feminist ideology and rhetoric. I don't want to back somebody who doesn't fully think shit through. If I wanted to follow somebody who thinks, acts, and wants to enforce shit the same way you do, I would actually move to the Middle East. Or move to some dictatorship. Better yet, I'd actually move to North Korea. If I wanted to, back or, follow some type of ideology that doesn't make any fucking sense, I'd move to North Korea. Granted, now that I actually think about it, that probably was a bad idea because at least the North Korean leader actually has more of an actual view and plan on shit, despite the fact that, some people are suffering. At least he actually has a view and a plan and a reasoning behind the shit. Despite the fact how crazy it may sound, he actually makes more logical sense than a feminist. Which is actually pretty shocking. He actually makes more sense than a feminist. Let that shit sink in. But yeah, I'd rather live under the North Korean regime if I was going to back any crazy ideology or thing that somebody wants to do and actually go, yeah, and get behind it. Which is actually pretty cool. Which is actually pretty weird and funny that I actually said that. Yeah, so that's pretty much the overall problem that I have with that whole entire ideology or sentiment. It just doesn't make any sense. And quite frankly, your ideas make no fucking sense. Nor do they have any fucking weight. Nor do they have any substance to actually make it a reality. And instead of actually putting the substance in your ideas, instead you want us as men to enforce your ideas for you. The problem with that is nobody wants to back ideas that aren't fully thought out. As I said in another video, nobody wants to back an idea that is less than 75%, that covers less than 75% of all the bases. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to back that type of thing. Unless you're a simp and you're trying to get brownie points and you got your nose so far up somebody else's ass. That is like the only way you'll actually get a bunch of men to actually back some shit. And there's not too many men that actually really that'll simp for you. And I've noticed that with people. You wanted to go to school to meet all the good guys, and you wanted women to be independent and go to school to meet all the good guys. Okay, cool. You get accepted into school. The female acceptance rate goes up. The male acceptance rates goes down. Now you're mad at us because there's no men at school, or there's no men on campus that you can actually, want to date or marry, or that is your caliber anymore, because they've all pretty much decided to pretty much check out. Now you want to be mad at us for not going to college so you can have some man to latch on to. Let that shit sink in. How is that even a fucking thing? You wanted to empower women to go to college and do all this great stuff, and the consequence to that is less men are going to college. Majority of the population in college are women. I think it's anywhere between 60 to 70% of admission rates are women or some shit like that. And the rest are either a small amount are men. Let that ratio sink in. If the majority of the people at college are women and the minority at the college are men, who the fuck are you going to get as a date, or who you're going to marry, or who you're going to find on your level or caliber? That's the problem. You didn't fully think that idea through when you did that shit. Now you're suffering the consequences of that shit because all the men aren't going to college anymore. And an irony to that is a lot of the businesses are actually starting these training programs to skirt college, because the people who they get from these colleges are a bunch of unfinished products. Let it be men or women, because of the shit that they actually learned in college, or the shit that they didn't learn in college, as to say, more so than anything. So now all these companies are getting products from colleges that are unfinished, on-the-job recs, if you know what I mean. And the companies are suffering because they got all these college recs on the job. So now a lot of the companies got to actually implement training programs that the schools were supposed to handle, literally on top of the shit that they got going on, which really sucks. Now a lot of the places are bringing back on-the-job training for these reasons, because the colleges turn out piss poor people in them, which really sucks. And it's all your fault. But you don't want to see that. You want to be mad about the low admission rates of men, and you can't find any good men because you went to this college to find a good man, and they pretty much all checked out and are all not going to college anymore. They're either going to trade schools or they're catching all these on-the-job training programs. It's that fucking simple. Again, that's another idea that you didn't fully think through. And then on top of that, you got all these other programs, all these other things where, women are, we're passing laws that women got to make up 50% or 50-something percent of a 40-something or 50-something percent of, the employment or a board, or, stuff like that. And then these companies are failing and hemorrhaging money left and right. But you want to blame the men for not buying the products from these companies, or not buying into the the adverts and or the things that, these companies offer anymore, because the irony to it is, if the company was mostly men oriented that was actually buying this shit, if you turn off your customer base, you're going to lose your customer base. You can't do that. And you can't get mad at us for not buying the product no more. You shot yourself in the foot. You got to bandage yourself and figure out how to reconfigure the shit so you can actually get your base back. It's that fucking simple. You can't alienate your base, then be mad at us and say we don't understand why you don't want to buy our products no more. You literally just disrespected us. Why the fuck would I want to buy shit from somebody who disrespected me? You know what I mean? That'd be like me going to a KKK-owned store to buy all my household goods. How does that even make fucking sense? Why would I want to put myself in that situation? You know what I mean? I would just find another store. I don't give a fuck how far it is. I wouldn't go to the KKK-owned store. If you know what I mean. It's that simple. You can't try to put things into place or plan things. You can't try to implement things without fully thinking it through, then be mad at us because we stop buying or stop participating in certain things or certain aspects of, life. You want to be mad at us for not participating now. It's your fucking fault. If you'd have fully thought this shit through or fully properly implemented some shit, you wouldn't be in this mess that you're in. It's not men's fault. It's your fault. That is the overall problem with your ideas. The problem is, what you're failing to see is the plans, ideas, and the things that you want to implement is your fucking fault. The outcome to all your plans, ideas, and shit like that, because it's poorly planned and poorly thought out and poorly implemented, it's your fault. Because it was poorly implemented, poorly planned, and poorly, pretty much all the above. It's your fucking fault that it's actually going this way, that it's panning out this way. You're the one that alienated this group of people. Especially if that's your customer base. That'd be like, slapping somebody and expect them to give you good service still. Or punching somebody out and expect them to give you good service. It doesn't work like that. Eventually there's going to be a backlash to the things that you're actually doing or wanting to do, or your actions in which you're trying to implement or impose on people. There's going to be backlash to this shit. You're going to have to suffer the consequences to those backlashes. You can't just step back being like, well, it's not our fault. We came up with the idea, it's not our fault. No, you came up with the idea, it was a poor idea. Now you got to figure out how to fucking fix it, or address it, or adjust it, or all the above to make it a better idea for everybody to want to ride with you, back you, and or, roll with you, basically. You can't just throw ideas out there half-ass and expect everybody to want to ride with you on shit. It doesn't work like that. That's not how society works. That's not how a democracy works. Because quite frankly, you hijack democracy. You want to just force things through and then be mad that nobody actually wants to go with it, or everybody wants to go vote against it, or everybody wants to filibuster it. Or you want, on top of that, you want to call everybody racist or, bigots or sexist because they don't want to go with your idea, because it's a dumb idea. It's not because you're a woman. It's because it's a dumb idea, and it needs better planning, and it needs to be thought out much better. That's the problem. You don't fully think this shit through. And that's your overall problem.